I'm the student governor, one of the new ones. I have Scott Davies with me today, and he's going to tell us a little bit about him.
Hey everybody, my name is Scott, and I am a 2011 graduate of Millersville University. Post-graduation, I co-produced, shot, and edited a 4-part series called Richmond Football, No Excuses. And then I was an early producer and cinematographer for ESPN's Bryce Begins, story of Bryce Harper. Shortly after that, I worked for 4 seasons with the Hershey Bears full-time, AHL hockey, including 1 season directing video operations for the Harrisburg Stampede indoor football. And currently I work as a camera operator for the Baltimore Ravens and have worked 4 seasons with the Baltimore Orioles also as a camera operator. And right now full-time, I work at Aurora Films as a video editor in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
All right. So how did you get your start after college?
So after college, for me, I love sports going into college. And going into college, I actually wanted to be in radio, and I really wanted to do broadcasting. I sort of wanted to be the next like Jim Nance for ESPN. And I didn't have any video editing in high school or anything like that. I was a public address announcer for our college football, or for our high school football team. So I went into college really expecting for radio, and then we really didn't have a very strong radio program at Millersville. We have our radio station. It's very music focused, not so much news or sports. So I really just jumped into TV and fell in love with it. Our campus at Millersville has MUTV, and of course a very strong chapter at NBS. So in college, I had an internship with the Baltimore Ravens first. That was in the summer of 2008. I was an underclassman. I was a sophomore heading into my junior year over that summer. I don't know how they hired me or why they hired me, because I had nothing on my resume at the time. But I guess that sort of just shows that, they hire the person, not the resume. So, I guess I interviewed well. I got the job, and then to end cap that internship, I had you end cap the internship with the Ravens. You worked the 2 summer preseason games, and while I was working the summer preseason games, I met the director of video for the Baltimore Orioles. There's a lot of crossover there in the sports industry, so he promised me an internship for the following summer. So that's sort of how I got my early start in sports. So it was just sort of internships that, led to connections, and sometimes not what you know, but who you know.
Nice. So how did you get into Aurora Films?
So with Aurora Films, to try to keep it as short of a story as possible. So of course I had a very strong focus in sports. Right after my brief time working at the Social Security Administration, I really wanted to get into sports full time. So I got a job with the Hershey Bears. I'm from the Maryland area, but I went to college in Millersville, and I really wanted to get back into Pennsylvania for personal reasons, because I met my wife at college. And so I really wanted to get back into sports. I got the job with Hershey, and I worked for 4 seasons with the Hershey Bears and absolutely loved it. I was in-house stadium entertainment. I did a lot of content for social media, and the Hershey Bears are actually owned by Hershey Entertainment and Resorts as a whole. So I also did content for Zoo America and Hershey Park. So that job was I loved it, fantastic. But I did decide, for more personal reasons, just to look for something else outside of the sports industry. When you think about sports, they're playing games when everybody else is on weekends and home and during the holidays. So for me, just for personal reasons, I just started looking around, and I fell into the job with Aurora Films because a friend of mine from college already worked there. So again, it's sort of sometimes a who you know situation, and got the job with Aurora, and I've been here for now 5 years as an editor.
Yeah. So what is Aurora Films, and what do you do there?
I am a full-time editor for Aurora Films, and we're a production company in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour or so east of Philadelphia and about 90 minutes north of Baltimore. So we're in a pretty good location there in terms of our clients that we get from major cities. Our primary focus is marketing videos and marketing content, which is a growing side of the video industry. And we work with a lot of local, small nonprofits, local companies, but we also have some big clients like Samsung Appliances, Purdue Chicken, Formica Laminate. And what we do is we have about a 9,000 square foot soundstage where we build sets similar to like if you walk into like a Home Depot or Lowe's and you sort of see these fake kitchen sets there where they're trying to sell you kitchen cabinets. Well, we build those in-house, and Samsung, for example, will send us their latest refrigerator that might come out in 2021. And when a customer is shopping online and you're clicking through the photos of the product that they're shopping for, oftentimes there's a video with it. And that's sort of our primary focus at Aurora. Now we have done a movie before our time called Another Harvest Moon. That was in 2008. And we've also done a documentary most recently with one of our clients, the Lancaster History Museum, about James Buchanan, who was from Lancaster, and he was our 15th president.
All right. So talking more about what you do at Aurora, like how do you deal with clients, and like how is your relationship with them, with the soundstage and everything?
So client interactions is certainly tricky at times because, you know, when you're working in marketing like this, you're not necessarily working for the brand. And, you know, when I worked for Hershey, for example, I was working for my own brand, for the company's brand, the Bears brand. When you're working in the marketing industry, you're an extension of your client's brand. So for example, with Samsung, you know, I need to know their brand standards inside and out. I need to know what fonts they use, how to use their fonts, what type of music they like in their product features. So, you know, it's really the hardest part with working with a client is just fully immersing yourself in with their brand and who they are. And then when you have, you know, 20 projects in a given week, you're working with 20 different brands. So that's probably the hardest part, is just to know and separate and sort of compartmentalize different brands in your head. And I think that's one thing that I'm half decent at, is I can sort of open up a box in my head, put it back, and then open up a new box. So it's kind of what you have to do with clients a lot. And then really just being yourself. They like having and interacting with people that are genuine, and that, you know, they want you to be honest with you. If you can't meet a deadline for whatever reason, then you just have to be honest. You can't make excuses. So. Yep.
And then how would you say the pandemic is really affecting you guys as a company and like your job?
It's tough. It's affecting literally everything and everybody. At Aurora, you know, we're not shooting anything currently because we can't have a set, and we can't be building and having construction guys putting tile on a backsplash for then us come in with a crew of 20 people and shoot a refrigerator. It's just not happening right now. So for us, a lot of our work is now shifting a little bit towards CGI and 3D and kinetic text and all sort of post-production focused jobs. We're doing a lot of animated work. Some of our clients are coming back to us asking for old projects to be updated. So, you know, work is still to be had. It's not necessarily shooting. It's very post-production focused because we can just do that here from my basement. But, you know, I'm interested to see, and this might happen, if some of that stuff continues into the foreseeable future, where, you know, it might be better now to shoot the product on a green screen and create a 3D set as opposed to build a set. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. But certainly, I mean, the pandemic has really affected everything and everyone.
Yeah. All right. Let's open up the floor to questions. If anybody has any questions for Scott.
Yes, Scott. Hi, my name's Matthew Relkin. I'm from Kutztown University. And I was wondering, with post-production, do you do that in-house at Aurora, or are you more doing that at home?
We do post-production in-house. It's good for these jobs that are shot in 4K, and we have a red camera, and these file sizes are massive. We're talking, 400 gigs for one project and one shoot. So just based on that, a lot of our projects live on a server that we access through working in the office. We're sort of making it work here at home, but we do all of our work in-house.
What type of softwares do you guys use? Are you guys more Adobe or Final Cut or anything?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for your question. We are all Adobe products. Really, the only reason why we're Adobe is just because you buy Adobe and then you get the entire suite. For us in particular, nobody's really just an editor or just a graphics designer or just do Photoshop. We all sort of have to know all of those programs to some extent. So, for us, having the Adobe software where After Effects integrates very easily with Premiere, integrates very easily with Illustrator and Photoshop, it all just works for us. Now we do have licenses of Final Cut that we sometimes use. Some of our clients will send us jobs that they've done with other production companies that use Final Cut or even Avid that we need to, either convert into a Premiere project or we'll edit them with the native project that they send it to. So, working in this particular marketing industry, we sort of have to know all of the editing software that's available out there for us.
Thank you.
Sure. And I'd like to add, a lot of people ask me, what my favorite editing software is or if one's better than another. And, my answer is always, it's not the editing software that makes the editor, it is the editor themselves. So, if you think about like an author, and I know Erin has heard me say this to her, but like, J.K. Rowling didn't write Harry Potter because she used Microsoft Word, she's the one who has those creative ideas and can create that story and all that in her head. And I think she even wrote the first book on a napkin in a coffee shop. So, my point is that, the software doesn't necessarily matter. And truly they're all the same and they all have their unique capabilities, but it's the person that does the editing.
Well, with your years of experience now, if you were to put yourself back in a time capsule and put yourself back in college, what would you do differently and what would you recommend for current college students?
Differently, I don't know if there's much that I would do a ton differently. I did have a brief job right out of college with a company out of Washington, D.C. area that they were doing, I saw a Craigslist ad right out of college and I met the guy in a Starbucks and I didn't really know what the job was for or whatever. So the interview went well, I guess, because at the end of it, he said, so now that we're going to hire you, which that's good thing number one, good thing number two is that we're going to be doing a documentary on Bryce Harper, baseball player with the Washington Nationals. At the time, he was, up and coming, just got drafted right out of high school, going into the minor leagues. I did a very brief stint with that company, and it was all freelance work. So while I was working with that company, I was consistently looking for full-time work because with freelance, you never know when that next paycheck's going to come in or when that next job's going to come in. So, I took a job with the Social Security Administration making training videos. It was boring with PowerPoint graphics. And I sometimes wonder, how my career could have gone a different path if I had just stayed with the company that was doing some really cool sports documentaries that I really enjoyed doing at the time. But, sometimes you have to make, personal decisions with your career. So, that's one thing that I might have done differently, looking back on things, but that's not to say I'm not happy where I am now. And then coming out of college now, you guys are at such a unique time, obviously with the pandemic, and I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing about it. And it's not something that you always want front of mind. When I was coming out of college, we were just coming out of the recession of 2008. I graduated in 2011, so we were kind of out of it by then, but jobs were still kind of sparse. I'd say for you guys, just, be as persistent as you possibly can. I know that when we're back in the office in the winter or the fall, hopefully even the summer, and when we're looking for interns, I'm going to be looking at some demo reels and resumes that have like non-college work that, now that everybody's home, get out there on a nice day and just shoot. Even better, get out there on a rainy day and shoot, because you need that practice. So, I'm going to be looking for a little bit more personal work as we look to hire interns and some editors that's not just college based. So just continue to better yourself, and you've got this time to do it, and just watch YouTube videos and learn After Effects and get after it.
Yeah. What's some advice to a graduating senior that's looking to maybe go into this field?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's definitely tough right now for you graduates that are coming out right now. My best advice is just keep working on it. One of the things that we're really getting a lot of requests for is stock footage. So if you have a camera, get out there and shoot some stuff. I can't tell you how many clients have asked for, they want to do a commercial and we're looking for shots of empty streets and, people with masks. So, shooting that type of stuff, gets you out there, gets you some practice. You can color correct some of your footage, check with Shutterstock or whoever you're uploading that to on the licensing rights and to make sure you're shooting some of that stuff properly. But, that's certainly a temporary career path that you could take, is, shooting some stock footage for just to get out there and to get going on some things.
Yeah. And then going back to internships, what's the best piece of advice that you would give someone who's in an internship?
Ask questions and be annoying. My favorite interns are the ones that are always in my ear and always in my office. And, you guys are the ones that we always bring back, and that are just more of a go-getter. We have a separate office at Aurora Films where our interns are and our freelancers sit, that has server connections and has everything that I have available to me in my office. And I love nothing more when I walk down the hall and see that an intern is watching YouTube videos on how to create graphics in After Effects and things like that. And then they come over to my office and say, hey, I was just doing this, and how do you do X, Y, or Z? So just be annoying. That's just sort of, I love it. I think that the more in my face you are, I think the more that the employer sees you, knows that you have a go-getter drive, and that's really the most important thing.
Yeah.
I have a question. When creating like a demo reel for editing, do you have like any tips on like how to make a editing reel stand out from other editing reels?
Sure. Yeah. Keep it short as possible, and put your best stuff first, because I can tell you, when we're looking through some of our demo reels and they're over 2 minutes long, we're often, skipping through things that we don't find very interesting. And it's so easy to do that, with you upload it to YouTube or Vimeo. It's so easy to just skip along the timeline, and we all do it, right? So we all do it with just watching whatever video we're watching, and I'm no different when we're watching the demo reel. So if you can bring the employer in as early as possible, they're not going to skip, So if you can have like a little story there, if it's action packed, and if it's cut to music, those are the biggest things that I would say to really make yourself stand out, as opposed to like just having a music track underneath. Like, edit to the beat,
Would you recommend having like clips, like a section of one project go into your demo reel rather than just random clips being edited together?
It depends.
I feel like that's a trend or something. People are putting projects rather than just each random clips just everywhere.
Yeah, it really depends what your content is. If your demo reel is for, say, being a reporter, then I would say you want to have, more news packages there. If your demo reel is to show off your footage, I would say, and your DP, your shooting abilities, you could probably have a little more randomness there. If you're showing off your editing abilities, if it's cut to music and maybe like some sequences are there, then you can sort of see, what you're going into. So it really just depends. In addition to a demo reel, though, I would recommend having, or like your own YouTube channel, for example, or especially having your own website where, your demo reel's at the top, but then you have different videos that are more completed projects to also share. So, that's another thing too. Having a website, I think, separates a lot of our interns and people that we're looking to hire for freelance positions than not having a website, because it just sort of goes into that go-getter mentality that the intern might have. Is just, if you're willing to take that extra step to build the website, even if it's free on Wix.com, great.
Do you do a lot of color grading?
Yeah, a lot. One of our post-production, we have a team of 3 post-production, uses DaVinci, and DaVinci seems to be more of that's the way the industry's going.
Yeah,
DaVinci also does editing, and it's free. So, that's certainly one software that you could, download tonight and start working on. And DaVinci is great with color. Premiere Pro for us has recently really integrated their color and redid their color abilities for Lumetri color. And we do a lot of that. At least I do a lot of my coloring in Lumetri. And it's not as good as DaVinci, but it's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I'm learning DaVinci, and it's kind of like learning how to manipulate all the little like
the nodes.
Yeah, the nodes and placing them. I found a couple.
Go ahead.
I found a couple good sources on YouTube. I'm more towards DaVinci now than I am Premiere. Yeah. So my next question was going to be about if you use any like plugins other than Lumetri Color.
Yeah, sometimes. No, we do a lot of work with, like I said, with clients that have a very specific brand that really just want their video to be, all white balanced and, good contrast and things like that. Occasionally we'll get, some nonprofits that maybe have like an emotional piece with like immigrants, for example, where those videos call for a little bit of like warmer color and like some feel good moments and some cooler colors and some sadder moments. So, there we'll sometimes use like a LUT. We'll just, use a preset LUT, or sometimes depending on like the client's budget, or if we're choosing to like buy a LUT to put on top of it, we will. But for the most part, we'll just white balance everything. And then if we feel that a scene or moment needs certain colors pushed one way or the other, we'll just, do it ourselves in Lumetri or DaVinci.
Do you find yourself doing more than just post-production with Aurora Films?
Yeah, all the time, actually. And that's one of the things that I love about working in at least the marketing side of things, is that very often a client comes to us and says, hey, we need an idea. And then at that point, I can come up with a couple different ideas. I can pitch those ideas to my manager. And then if my manager likes it, then they'll bring me into that pitch meeting with the client. So there's definitely a lot more that just happens than being just an editor. Occasionally I'll get out and shoot some stuff, and I do enjoy shooting. It just, with my role, it doesn't happen often, but there's definitely working with a smaller production company, you have more opportunities to do different things.
Cool.
All right. Jim, do you have anything to add?
No, I think we're getting near the end of the timeline here, but it sure has been interesting listening to Scott.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
very much.
Man.
Thank you, Erin, Matt, for your questions. I appreciate it.
All right, and thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Everyone have a great day.